Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. I'm here with a Mickey cup and we're going to share a little travel tip with you today. A couple little things that saved my wife and daughter a big hassle this last week. So just share a little bit, maybe help you on some of your future travel. Before I share that, I want to remind you Self-Defense Essentials is available at enjoylifesafely.com. This course has my previous DVDs, the Self-Defense Essentials DVDs that I did with Paladin Press. That was a 2-disc set. All of that information is in this course. The Chokes and Sleepers DVD that I did with Ike Productions, all of that material is in this course. Live material from seminars in this course, additional lessons in this course, about 4 hours worth of the Brutal Self-Defense weekend seminar that I was doing with Tom Antion. So a bunch of the training that I taught, that's in this course. Additional things will be added to this course. Sort of wait until I recovered a little bit from the knee and so forth, and I got some things I want to add to this course. So check out Self-Defense Essentials at enjoylifesafely.com. There's some free downloads you can get there as well. A couple other different courses there as well. Also the free newsletter. So a lot of good stuff there, but check that out. Now let's talk a little bit about this travel tip. So the morning that my wife and daughter and Connie were going to fly back to the United States from Paris, my wife got up early and checked the phone, which she doesn't always do. And there was an alert. It came in at 4:00 a.m. and the flight was canceled. Mechanical problems, their flight back to the United States was canceled. Now, Delta was going to automatically rebook them on a flight the next day to go back to the States. However, because my wife saw that early in the morning when she woke up, they were able to contact and get on there and get a flight that was 2 hours earlier than their scheduled flight. They weren't sitting together. They got split up, but all three of them got on the plane and made it back to the United States a couple hours earlier than originally planned. Now, you go back up and you think, well, an extra night in Paris wouldn't be so terrible. And that part wouldn't necessarily have been. However, my wife and Connie, they had two different airlines because they flew United from Montana to New York. And then they actually switched airports and met my daughter, and they flew Delta over to Paris. Flying in and out of Montana can be difficult sometimes. And when Connie booked the tickets, it just worked the best to fly the two different airlines and work that way, the schedules and the timing and money and everything. So if they would have taken the day after that Delta was originally going to give them, they would have missed the United flights back to Montana. My daughter, she had booked the flights and her trip with her boyfriend the next day to go Antigua, where she's at right now. So if they would have flown the next day, that would have screwed up their flights and their vacation. So by getting up early, having that app that gives you those announcements and then being able to get on there and find the other flight, it saved them a lot of hassle. So, the tip is be sure to have all of the apps and all of the announcements and warnings and different things set that you get those. I do know there are a few people nowadays that still, they like to fly with paper tickets. Well, it's not necessarily a bad idea to get paper tickets when you check in. You want your app too, but the paper boarding passes, not a bad idea in case your phone goes down. But there are some people that they don't want to do any of that stuff on the phone, and they use their paper thing, and they don't get those alerts and announcements and different things through their phone. You got to get with the times. They can save you. I mean, that really helped my wife and Connie and my daughter by having those alerts and having the apps and having it all set up so you get those. Also, it's important to realize that you don't always have to take the recommended alternate when flights go down and bad. You don't always have to do that. You can sometimes get on there and get with an agent, or sometimes you can just do it online. Sometimes you talk to an agent. I've found both ways to be helpful and sometimes faster. Both of them are sometimes faster, just depending on the situation. But you can get alternate flights than the ones they want to give you. Like they were able to get that earlier flight and it still worked. They were up early enough that they could still make that early flight. If they would have slept in, ignored the phones and those alerts, or didn't have those alerts and showed up to the airport on time for the original flight, they would have had a big shock. It's canceled. You're here till tomorrow. But because they had those alerts and everything set up, they got them early enough that they were able to get the new flight, still get to the airport in time, get back here, make their flights connecting to Montana, make the flights connecting to Antigua. So just a little tip to have all that stuff on your phones, learn how to use it, have it set where you get those reminders and important messages, because they can save you. You know, use technology. You know, I spend a lot of time. Where's my phone? I don't even know where my phone's at. It's somewhere out there. I spend a lot of time criticizing that damn thing because people use it when they shouldn't be, and it causes distractions and makes you less safe and all that kind of stuff. But they do an awful lot of good too. You can use them for good stuff. And by using the right apps and different things, they can make your life, they can make your travel much better, much easier. So learn to use those that will help you and benefit you. That's what I wanted to share today, because it really saved them and helped them. Now, they got the email the next day saying, sorry about the canceled flight, but safety comes first, because it was a mechanical issue, had a safety issue. So it was completely on the airline. It wasn't weather or anything. And they would have reimbursed expenses. So if they would have stayed an extra night in Paris, the airline would have paid for food, would have reimbursed them for another night at the hotel or Airbnb, wherever they stayed on that. However, airlines will not pay for previously purchased tickets or things that you already paid for to go to. So if they would have missed the next flights, the airline would not have reimbursed them for those prepaid flights. Say they were going to land at New York and they had 2 hours to get to a show, a sold out show that you can barely ever get tickets for, and they're super expensive tickets. If they would have missed that show, the airlines would not pay for it. So anything prepaid like that you might miss because of the delays, they don't cover. They would have covered a hotel and food and stuff in Paris and some of that, but not the other stuff. So make sure you're aware of those kind of things when you're flying as well. I mean, that happened to me one time going to Korea when we got delayed and we missed the flights, and that was due to weather and mechanical both. And we ended up staying a night in Hawaii and then making it to Korea the next day. They reimbursed us for some of it, but we had pre-purchased a train pass when we got to Korea, to a ticket. They're like, oh, we don't cover that, those pre-purchased things that you missed. And so they know what your rights are, know what you can get reimbursed and what they will pay for and won't pay for. It's another little travel tip to be a savvy consumer and traveler. There's another thing, and I don't know if it might have worked for this if they would have missed that flight and been delayed. I know in the EU, if you have a delay, there's monetary reimbursement you can claim too, because my daughter did that once. She got stuck in the airport for like 6 hours in a delay. And when she was looking online to find if there was a way to get like a meal voucher or anything for sitting in the airport for so long. She found out that they have laws in Europe. If the flight originates from Europe, those long delays, you can put in a claim and get money. And she actually got $600 for that delay, which was about the cost of the flight, because she got a cheap flight when she went over there that time. It was one of her Thanksgiving breaks during college. She went over there to see a friend that lived there and had that delay on the way back. And she got like a $600 reimbursement for that delay. And that's just a special law that's in the EU for flights that originate from there leaving. It doesn't matter if you're an American or European or whoever you are, if you're on those flights and you know about it, because the airlines won't give it to you. They won't tell you about it. You got to make that claim. You got to know about it. And she found out about it doing some research, looking, and found that, put in the claim, she got the money back. So know those kind of things too, and it can make your travel a little bit better, especially when bad things happen. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Again, everybody, remember the self-defense essentials and other courses that are available at enjoylifesafely.com. I want to say good morning to Thad. Thank you for being here, Thad, and saying good morning. Good morning, Dixon. Dixon says he's feeling fabulous and hopes I am too. I'm not feeling fabulous. I had a rough night, Dixon. I'm still a little under the weather, but thank you for that. Good morning, Jay and Vicky and Sasha. Thank you guys for being here and saying good morning. Richard, good morning. Thank you for saying good morning. Thank you to everybody that watches later, watches replays, listens to the podcast. I appreciate all of you. And I hope all of you are feeling fabulous like Dixon is. Have a fabulous Friday, and I will be back to see you tomorrow.